Wick turned up on that racing machine. Oh my, Johnny. Well, Johnny Rutherford takes Roger Penske's racing machine and he drills this race course at a quicker lap. 215.189 miles an hour.
Three-time Indy 500 winner Johnny Rutherford, who has not driven regularly in Indy cars, is back, and back with a vengeance. Driving the car that would normally have been driven by Rick Mears, JR broke an 11-year-old record and became the fastest qualifier in Indy car history. There is speed at Michigan, but also accidents. During the Michigan 500 earlier this year, there were many. Phil Kruger, not seriously injured. Al Unser Jr. and Chip Ganassi. Little Al is back. Chip continues to recover. On the last lap, Pancho Carter hits the wall, narrowly missing Rick Mears. At the end of 250 laps, Mario Andretti beat Tom Steva by 14 100ths of a second, the closest finish in Indy car history. Last September here at Michigan, the winner was Rick Mears, but Mears is out with injuries suffered 2 weeks ago in Canada and has been eliminated from the points battle. Andretti and Steva are first and second in points, but there's another contender, Danny Sullivan. ESPN, your #1 auto racing network, presents from Brooklyn, Michigan, Auto Racing 84. Live from Michigan International Speedway, about 14 miles south of Jackson, the Detroit News Grand Prix for Indy cars. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins. This is Larry Nuber, and it's raining again. It rained this morning, but it stopped. In fact, they almost had the track dry, and about 5 minutes ago, it started to rain again. So it looks like the start of this race is going to be pushed back. We're hopeful that the race will be run sometime today. Yesterday was a beautiful day here at Michigan in terms of weather and in terms of speed. Johnny Rutherford with a new all-time qualifying mark.
I wish we were on tape right now, Bob, and the rain was not live, but it is live. By the way, that record that Rutherford set, you did hear right. It is 215 miles per hour, and yes, it did break an 11-year-old track record of Mario Andretti. It's only about 1 mile per hour faster, but when you consider how long that track record lasted, it's pretty impressive. Rutherford was the first one out yesterday. Conditions were perfect, but take nothing away from Johnny. He drove 2 perfect laps.
This track has also been known for some very bad crashes, and we've had a couple of crashes here already this weekend.
Well, Bob, 2 people that we would normally expect to see in an IndyCar field. One has been doing quite well recently, as a matter of fact. Scott Brayton and also Gordon Johncock have both crashed. Neither one of them have been injured, but they will not be in the race. Ironically, both of them hometown drivers. They live in Coldwater, Michigan, about 30 miles away, and they're both going to be in the grandstands in the pit area watching today.
There was another driver here, too, but he also will not be in the race. With more on that, here's the guy who'll be covering the pit area for us today, Gary Lee.
The car that was here but not in the race, the orange 14 of A.J. Foyt. A.J. asked yesterday to have the car inspected before qualifying. A team member said, Tex, it's not going to pass. It's too wide on the rear wheels. An angered Foyt ran to the inspection area, pushed a cart official, then stormed to the cart office before cooling down and then withdrawing the entry. The car was loaded on the transporter and sent back home to Houston. Now, the irony of the story is that when the measurement was taken across the bottom of the tires, the negative camber made the car about 1/4 of an inch too wide. But CART had not measured the top of that, and of course those 2 figures have been averaged together, so actually the car was probably not illegal. But A.J. will not be racing. Looking over my shoulder, the stands are filling up. A lot of people are waiting outside in their car trying to wait out Mother Nature, so we'll wait down here and see what happens, Bob.
And we are very hopeful that we can get in this 200-mile race here at Michigan. Well, the Detroit News Grand Prix is being brought to you by Pontiac. Cars built with a feel for the road. Pontiac, we build excitement. And by Coney, the world's finest shock absorbers. Coney, proven superior. We will be back with more activity from Michigan International Speedway and the Detroit News Grand Prix for Indy cars after these messages. Vehicles are still coming down here, but the trucks are out on the track to try to drive as quickly as possible, but no racing action, at least right now. What we do have for you is action from the Escort Radar Warning 200 for Indy cars. This was a race that was run a couple of months ago on the road course. So while we're down here in Michigan, let's go to that race at Mid-Ohio.
Oh my, it's a quick one. 214.337 miles an hour, and they've got the wick turned up on that racing machine. Oh my, Johnny. Well, Johnny Rutherford takes Roger Penske's racing machine, and he drills this race course at a quicker lap. 215.189 miles an hour.
Three-time Indy 500 winner Johnny Rutherford, who has not driven regularly in Indy cars, is back, and back with a vengeance. Driving the car that would normally have been driven by Rick Mears, JR broke an 11-year-old record and became the fastest qualifier in Indy car history. There is speed at Michigan, but also accidents. During the Michigan 500 earlier this year, there were many. Phil Kruger, not seriously injured. Al Unser Jr. and Chip Ganassi. Little Al is back. Chip continues to recover. On the last lap, Pancho Carter hits the wall, narrowly missing Rick Mears. At the end of 250 laps, Mario Andretti beat Tom Steva by 14/100ths of a second, the closest finish in Indy car history. Last September here at Michigan, the winner was Rick Mears, but Mears is out with injuries suffered 2 weeks ago in Canada and has been eliminated from the points battle. Andretti and Steva are first and second in points, but there's another contender, Danny Sullivan. Hello from the High Bank 2-mile tri-oval at Michigan International Speedway. I'm Bob Jenkins. This is Larry Newber. We're sorry we couldn't bring you this race yesterday live, but there was bad weather. We're hoping that the rain will hold up and we'll get all of it in this afternoon. Well, Larry, the story continues to be the speed here at Michigan.
It really does, and in case you missed it by now, Johnny Rutherford, you heard right in the tease for the show, 215 miles per hour, and it was, as Bob mentioned, an 11-year-old track record set by Mario Andretti back in 1973 at the Texas World Speedway. Johnny's performance was spectacular. It was a remarkable lap. The conditions were good, but Rutherford was perfect.
This track has always had a lot of crashes, and 2 drivers have already been eliminated from competition this weekend.
Scott Brayton, who had been doing very well in IndyCar racing of recent, and Gordon Johncock both crashed here in practice this week. Now, neither one was injured seriously. Gordy's got some broken bones in his toes, but both of them will be back in a very short order. The crashes have been part of the story here, but you give up a little bit of safety and a little bit of coefficient of friction, as Freddie Agabation used to say, when you start going faster.
There was another driver here, but he will not be in this race. Let's get that story from the guy who'll be covering the pit area for us today, Gary Lee.
The car that was here but not in the starting lineup was the Orange 14 of A.J. Foyt. A.J. yesterday asked to have the car inspected before qualifying. A team member ran to Supertex and said, "I don't think the car is going to pass. It's too wide at the rear tires." A.J., angry, stormed over to a kart official, pushed him, then ran to the kart office. At that point, he cooled off, but withdrew the car, put it on the hauler, and sent it back to Houston. The irony of the story is the car may have been legal. They were measuring the width on the rear tires. With the negative camber, the car was about 1/4 of an inch too wide at the bottom of the tire. But they measure both the bottom and the top, and then the average is taken. Car did not have a chance to measure the top before Foyt got angry. So the car may have been legal, but Foyt is not here.
So it should be an exciting afternoon of racing, the Detroit News Grand Prix. It's being brought to you by Pontiac. Cars built with a feel for the road. Pontiac, we build excitement. And by Coney, the world's finest shock absorbers. Coney, proven superior. We'll be back with free race activity here at Michigan International Speedway in just a moment. Back at Michigan International Speedway, here are the weather conditions. The temperature 78 degrees, winds to the northwest of 12 to 15. They say a 100% chance of scattered showers, but right now it's not raining and the track is dry. There is, however, still the threat of rain, and if they complete 51 laps, it will be an official race. Now, let's check the starting lineup, the 25 drivers that will be competing in today's Detroit News Grand Prix here at Michigan International Speedway.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rutherford, and I'll be starting from the pole in today's Detroit News Grand Prix.
Hi, I'm Tom Sneva. I'll be driving the Texaco Star, starting in position number 2, and we're real excited about the race. We've installed a louder horn that we think is going to be a big advantage for us this race.
Hi, I'm Mario Andretti. I will be starting with a Budweiser Loa number 3 in row 2.
Hi, I'm Bobby Rahal, driver of the 7-Eleven Red Roof Inns March. I've qualified on the outside of the second row.
Hi, I'm Al Unser Jr. I'll be driving the Coors Light Silver Bullet number 7. I'll be starting inside row 3. Hope you enjoy the race.
Hi, I'm Danny Angayas with Interscope Racing, and we qualified 6th. Hi, I'm Al Unser. I'm in the Miller Highlight car, and I start 7th position.
Hi, I'm Pete Halsmer. I'll be racing the RC Aero Scotland Food Special, and I'll be starting in 8th position.
Hi, I'm Danny Sullivan from Louisville, Kentucky, and I'll be driving the Domino's Pizza Hot One today, starting from inside of row 5.
Hi, I'm Michael Andretti. I'll be driving Electrolux Sprago March, and I'll be starting in 10th position.
And in row number 6 on the inside, Jose Legarza, car 55. Outside, Emerson Fittipaldi in car number 40. In the 7th row, Howdy Holmes, car 41, and Al Holbert in number 21. Row number 8, Roberto Guerrero and Derek Daly. In the 9th row, Dick Simon in car number 22. Outside row 9, Ed Pim in 98. The 10th row, number 18, Jeff Brabham, and John Paul Jr. driving car 82. In the 11th row, car 56, Steve Chassie, and 38, Chet Phillip. In the 12th row, car number 59, Peter Kuhn, and 62, Jerry Carl. So that is the lineup for the Detroit News Grand Prix, 100 laps on this 2-mile high bank tri-oval here at Michigan.
Bob, you hit the key when you said this race, if it goes more than halfway, it's officially over. 51 laps will make this a complete race. All the drivers, of course, are very much aware of that, and we have an absolute sprint race on our hands right now.
We have radio communication with 2 drivers, Michael Andretti and Danny Sullivan.
Danny Sullivan, this is Larry Nuber up in the ESPN control booth. Can you hear us?
Just out here warming up our cars. Everybody trying to get the feel for the thing a little bit.
Danny, is the track absolutely dry enough to go over 200 miles per hour?
I think it's fine. I think it'll be a little slippery in the early going because after the rain, it's probably a little bit green. But we didn't have a real heavy rain, so I think it should be fine.
Well, Danny, we'll be keeping our eyes peeled on the Domino's Pizza Hot One. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Hope it's a good race for everybody.
Michael Andretti, this is Bob Jenkins up in the ESPN broadcast booth. What's going through your mind right now?
Right now we're just, just sitting back and waiting to see what happens when the green comes out.
As far as you can determine, are there any wet spots out there on the track that may give you some problems?
It looks pretty good right now. I think it's going to be okay.
All right, Michael, good luck to you in this race.
Bob, not only did Rutherford set the fastest qualifying run in the history of this type of racing, he also had the second fastest. Of course, that's not official because it's an oval course.
So the Detroit News Grand Prix is just about to begin as the drivers continue to warm up the tires and the engines. We'll be back for the start of this race in just
Racing. From the inside, no one covers it like Auto Week. Auto Week makes you an insider at the world's great race circuits every week. In the pits, behind the scenes, even in the cockpit with racing driver columnists in Formula One, NASCAR, and kart. Inside coverage just days after the race. And Auto Week puts you inside the world's most exciting cars, right behind the wheel. Auto Week takes you inside the whole automotive scene. Personalities, great cars of the past, columnists with inside scuttlebutt. Let Auto Week make you an insider, too. Call for a year's subscription to Auto Week. 52 issues at the basic price of $23, just 44 cents an issue. Call 1-800-544-1000 and get this $10 Auto Week fender cover absolutely free. Call right now, 1-800-544-1000. Let Auto Week make you an insider, too.
The pace car is moving out ahead of the field. It moves into turn number 3 now at the end of the backstretch. The bright yellow, I should say, machine of Johnny Rutherford is on the pole. Alongside is the Texaco Star, driven by Tom Sneva. Both of these guys qualifying at over 212 miles an hour. Johnny Rutherford at 215 miles an hour. But Mario Andretti in the red car, they're right behind Johnny Rutherford, will be looking for the opportunity to get a good jump. And Bobby Rahal also will be. He starts outside of row number 2. The field comes off of turn number 4. They get the green flag from the chief starter, Nick Finoro, and the Detroit News Grand Prix is underway at Michigan International Speedway. Johnny Rutherford has taken the lead out of turn number 2, heading down the backstretch. Tom Sneva is in pursuit in second place with Mario Andretti hanging in there in third. And it looks like that Al Unser Jr. has moved up to fourth place. They move in for the first time at the north end of the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. Johnny Rutherford showing the way off of turn number 4. Johnny Rutherford wasting no time in showing the other competitors that that car has the speed. Mario Andretti has passed Tom Sneva for second position.
Bob, I'll tell you, these first few moments here really are a little more tense than usual because there were so many serious crashes here. The last time the Indy cars raced, plus this relatively green racetrack, it's had rain on it all day up to this point. Everybody, I thought, might tiptoe just a little more carefully, but boy, Rutherford has jumped right out, and everybody knows that he was the fastest qualifier. And by the way, a couple of people have been trying to make some moves in case you happen to be a fan of either Derek Daly, who started deep in the pack, or Michael Andretti. Both of those guys, particularly Daly, have done very well in the early laps here.
Mario Andretti has moved into second place, putting Tom Sneva into third. Fourth place belongs to Al Unser Jr., but the leader is Johnny Rutherford in the Pennzoil car number 6. Here he is streaking through turn number 4, off of the corner onto the trioval in front of the crowd that has been patiently waiting for the weather to clear. The weather right now is good. The racing conditions are very good. It's cloudy and it's relatively cool. The engines will work well under these conditions.
This was the second year in a row at this race that Johnny Rutherford, the man in the Pennzoil Z7 Special number 6, the second year in a row that he has sat on the front row for this race. Remember that Rutherford had a substitute ride, the designated driver, if you will, in the Patrick car a year ago. And he performed well in qualifying second fastest.
And our radar gun indicates they were moving at 213 miles an hour into turn number 1 last lap. Running in 5th position is car number 1, Al Unser Sr., who has moved up well, and then right behind him is Michael Andretti. Let's go down to Gary Lee.
Theoretically, this should be a 2-pit-stop race, but the threat of rain can certainly change the strategy. If we were to have rain, this race could be a 50-lapper instead of a 100-lapper, just over halfway. So right now, the Penske organization is planning to stop somewhere after lap 30. So obviously, Johnny would like to pull out to a very large lead, duck in the pit area, hopefully under yellow about lap 30 or 35, and should it rain, maintain the lead on a shortened race course.
Back in the pack, a battle is going on. Danny Sullivan moving on the high side of the racetrack. That is the 8th position. Danny Sullivan has moved up to 8th. He started in 9th spot, so he's been able to move up 1 spot since the drop of the green flag. Danny Sullivan, a very hot race driver on the CART PPG IndyCar World Series circuit in that Lola.
And right underneath him is Pete Halsmer, who qualified 8th fastest, one of his finest qualifying performances of the year to date. Remember, that's a 1984 March that the RC Aero racing team took order of about mid-season of this year, Halsner is in one of his finest positions to do well in a race in the 1984 season here this weekend at MIS. Remember up at Saint-Air, the race that we last televised, Halsner also qualified well there, was moving early, and there's a nice three-car battle as Angaias makes it 3 abreast down the backstretch. It's Angaias slow, Halsner in the middle, and Angaias is going to come out of this one in 8th position.
Drafting certainly used on a racetrack like this, and Danny Angaias took the advantage as he went into turn number 3 and was able to pass both Danny Sullivan and Pete Halsner. Right behind this group is Derek Daly, who is looking to the inside and now going to the inside, trying to pass Pete Halsner, and the other car in this duel, the blue and cream-colored car, is driven by Jose Legarza.
Well, that's a great drive for Derek Daly so far. That's unofficially in 10th position, and Daly started in 16th. He has been able to get around Roberto Guerrero. He has passed Emerson Fittipaldi, Jose Legarza, and now Danny Sullivan. So Derek Daly showing some speed that we're not really accustomed to him showing on ovals, but he's doing very well. Sullivan, you see now being passed by, I believe, Guerrero, and Danny Sullivan does not have the hot setup that we've seen him have in recent weeks. We knew that the changed weather conditions would affect some of the teams, but it's like a crapshoot. You never know which ones are going to be affected, and it's pretty obvious that Danny Sullivan's setup is not right for the conditions.
Howdy Holmes just passed him, and now he is about to be passed by Jose Legarza as they move down the backstretch. Obviously, that Lola is not working properly for Danny Sullivan so far in this race. We have completed 9 laps out of 100, and the leader continues to be Johnny Rutherford. Running in 2nd position is car number 3, Mario Andretti. In 3rd spot is Tom Sneva. 4th, Al Unser Jr., and in 5th place is Al Unser Sr. There's the leader, Johnny Rutherford, and he has opened up a great advantage so far.
Rutherford has also already begun to lap cars. He's gotten around Dick Simon as well as Ed Tim. Steve Chassie is almost in his sights now. Peter Kuhn has already been lapped, and the battle continues to rage for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, all those positions back there. Tom Sneva right now is the possessor of 3rd position, but Al Unser Jr. is hot on his heels.
Now, looked like they were running side by side going into turn number 1, but as they came out of turn number 2 and headed down the backstretch, Tom Sneva gained the advantage. So Sneva is still in 3rd, but look at Little Al and that black number 7 move right near the rear end of the Tom Sneva car as they head into the turn. Out of it once again onto the tri-oval. Sneva maintains 3rd position, being pursued very closely by Al Unser Jr.
Tom Sneva, of course, the man who finished 2nd. Now Little Al puts a big moving on Tom, going to the inside, a bit reminiscent of the Tom Sneva-Mario Andretti duel at the Middle Summer race here. Tom finished 2nd in that race too, Mario Andretti. Sneva, who qualified well once again, as he always does. He was only like the 3rd or 4th fastest throughout most of the practice sessions here this week on Friday and Saturday. But Sneva always seems to be worth about 2 miles per hour himself on a big track when it comes to qualifying. And he jumped up from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th ranking qualifier to 2nd behind Johnny Rutherford. Tom qualifying at better than 212 miles per hour here. But still, Bob, that was almost a half a second, unbelievably so, behind Johnny Rutherford.
Johnny Rutherford just completely dominated the qualifying yesterday. Earlier in the practice session yesterday, before qualifying, Mario Andretti had the hot setup and was the fastest in practice as we take a good look at Al Unser Jr. But when the green flag waved on qualifying, it was Johnny Rutherford who set the mark. Al Unser Jr. won his first IndyCar race earlier this year in a race that we telecast on ESPN at Portland, Oregon.
Al Unser Sr. and Bobby Rahal trading positions. They're in a group also right behind Sneva and Little Al Unser. So Al Unser Sr. loses a position while his son Al Unser Jr., just about 100 yards in front of him, gains a position. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th on your screen, and they are streaming around the high bank 2 mile over here at the Michigan International Speedway. Al Unser Jr. He's not had exactly an up and down season, but the team had drifted off its strong pace it had set, starting with that win back in Portland, and the team owner and manager, Rick Dallas, made a lot of changes in terms of personnel. They even fired the crew chief, Huey Absalon, and since the change, everything does seem to be running just a bit more smoothly. And Al Unser Jr., now running in 3rd position, is in a strong position here at the Michigan International Speedway.
Well, when you mentioned that they are setting a fast pace, you were right. The average speed at this point is 208.69 miles an hour. Tom Sneva and Al Unser Jr. continuing to battle on the racetrack. Jerry Carl, as we watch this race, comes in for a pit stop. And we have observed also some smoke coming from the number 98 car driven by Ed Pym. That's the car that is wrenched by Dan Gurney.
And you got to figure that nobody is holding back a thing because that threat of rain continues to linger over the speedway. Now, 51 laps would be the point where if this race was stopped, it would be declared official. So I suppose it's conceivable that Mario Andretti, who runs in second place right now, not very far behind Johnny Rutherford at all. As a matter of fact, it's less than 5 seconds, somewhere in the vicinity of about 2 seconds. It's conceivable that Andretti is attempting to pace himself, but a little unlikely. He wants to stay within certain range of the leader. And there is Roberto Guerrero slowing down.
Roberto Guerrero, you recall, was the first car out of the race at San Air Speedway 2 weekends ago, and he's being plagued with problems here in the early going at the Detroit News Grand Prix. Roberto Guerrero, who is the current leader in the rookie point standings and who finished very well at the Indianapolis 500, is on the apron of the racetrack in turn number 4, headed toward the pits. If he makes it to the pits, we will not have a yellow. It looks like he will indeed make it to the pits. So the green stays out, and Johnny Rutherford continues on the throttle down the backstretch. Johnny Rutherford, the leader. Second place is Mario Andretti, and third is Al Unser Jr. We'll be right back with more from...
You know, the business world moves fast. I found only one publication keeps pace with it every business day. Only this. The Wall Street Journal. Not weekly, not bi-weekly. Today's business news today. So you can use it today.
Save $7.50 off the cover price with a subscription to the Wall Street Journal. Order 19 weeks for $39. Phone toll-free 800-372-3000. That's 19 weeks, just $39. And save $7.50. Phone 800-372-3000.
Wednesday, ESPN's your driving source for sports at the Detroit News Grand Prix. Our IndyCar stars make Motor City magic in Michigan. Then the vacancy sign is out for PKA Karate's World Light Heavyweight title. Rob Salazar and Dennis Alexio kick up a storm for the crown. And stay in our corner for another hard-hitting edition of Ringside Review. Top Rank's top tough guys are back in the boxing business. It's all here Wednesday on ESPN.
Back at the Detroit News Grand Prix, Johnny Rutherford is the leader, Mario Andretti second, Al Unser Jr. is third, Tom Sneva fourth, and Bobby Rahal is fifth. We have completed 19 laps. And really, the battle out on the racetrack is between Tom Sneva and Al Unser Jr. as Roberto Guerrero is standing by with Gary Lee in the pit area.
Well, usually you have a very pleasant demeanor even when you fall out early, but obviously besides being disappointed, you're angry. What was the problem?
Well, we've been having engine problems all weekend, and it finally came out to a big hole with an engine blowout, so I'm just disappointed, you know.
We had the rain earlier. How are the track conditions?
The track felt pretty good. It was a little bit sleepier than during qualifying and that, but it's not bad. It's pretty good.
Well, once again, as 2 weeks ago, the first out, a spectator, Roberto Guerrero.
Tough luck for the young Colombian. Here is Tom Sneva moving into turn number 1, and Sneva, as we indicated, had been involved in a race earlier with Al Unser Jr. Now the car that's pursuing him is the Bobby Rahal machine.
Up on that Roberto Guerrero story, it's really getting frustrated for that team because this is now the 4th race in a row that they have been unable to finish. They're the number 5 ranking team in terms of dollars won this year. Roberto is currently 12th in point standings, but they've had a variety of problems, gearboxes, suspension problems, and the like. But this is the 4th race in a row that a guy who really looked like a potential winner many times this year has not been able to finish.
Tom Sneva running in 3rd position. Bobby Rahal is 4th. We gave you the top 5 a few seconds ago. In 6th position at this point is Al Unser Sr. Then we have Michael Andretti and Danny Engaias.
And behind that 8 is Pete Halsmer and Derek Daly. Those 10 cars really have proven to be the class of the field. They are the only 10 that appear to be anywhere near Johnny Rutherford. And, of course, Derek Daly had the deficit of starting about 10 or 12 positions behind Rutherford, so even though Daly is among those 10 cars that are running competitively out here today, he is more than a half a lap behind the leader, Johnny Rutherford. There's Tom Sneva. He's been in quite a tussle with Bobby Rahal and Al Unser Jr. There's Sneva, the winner of the 1983 Indianapolis 500, roaring down the backstretch. Remember that spectacular crash that Pancho Carter had there in the very final lap of the race a couple of months ago.
Average speed is just over 192 miles an hour as Sneva continues to drive through traffic. Here he is moving to the inside of Danny Sullivan. Well, we asked Tom about running in traffic on this very wide racetrack.
You are considered by many drivers here to be the very best in traffic. What makes a good traffic driver? What is that certain quality that perhaps you possess the other drivers don't?
I think a lot of it's an instinctive thing. You just react to certain situations before they happen. Maybe it's a little bit better anticipation or that type of thing. Being able to anticipate or predict what the other guy is going to do before he actually does it. And a lot of it's a guessing game. You try to predict what he's going to do based on your past experience with that driver. And, you know, I guess we've had some fair luck with it in the past.
Tom Sneva is second in the point standings, trying to catch Mario Andretti, who has an 11-point lead on him in the battle for the PPG Cup for 1984.
And to put it in perspective, you can get 20 points for winning a race. It drops off 16. In other words, a 4-point difference for second place. And there is Tom Sneva moving in on Mario Andretti. Right now, Sneva is behind Mario, as Bob mentioned, by 11 points. And he's trying to gain a few markers on Mario right now. That's Mario on the left-hand side of your screen, the bright red. And we have a crash in turn number 3. 2 or 3 cars involved in between turns 3 and 4. It looks like John Paul Jr. has met with the outer cement. That scene right there is midway between the third and fourth turn.
And Larry, there's also a car to the inside of the racetrack down in the grass. And it looks like, well, we will hold off on identification of that car. But John Paul Jr. is indeed involved, and that car is sitting up high. It is a yellow car, we know that. But we will, again, hold off on any positive identification until it is given to us by the CART officials. The safety vehicles have arrived on the scene as the pit stops are being made. Johnny Rutherford is in for his pit stop, and so is Mario Andretti as we get a good look of him as the pit crew goes to work on that car, fueling it up. John Paul, meanwhile, is getting out of his car. He's walking rather slowly and gingerly down the high banks. Obviously, he is shaken up somewhat, but it looks like that he is not seriously injured.
Well, John Paul, of course, has been in a number of race cars this year. The ride that he started the year out with decided to not finish the season. And John has been in a number of cars the past few weeks. He's a man who won the Michigan 500 at this very racetrack in his rookie season on the trail, a guy who's looking forward to the 1985 season, hoping that he can land a ride. Potentially one of the finest racing drivers young John Paul is, really in this division. We mentioned he won his very first Michigan 500, the first time he's been at this racetrack. He came to CART as an acknowledged and experienced road racer, and we are continuing to monitor the crash scene on the inside of turn number 4. And again, in the interest of accuracy, it is a yellow car. We have some speculation as to who it might be, but we really have not had any visual confirmation. This was an accident that occurred among cars running 10th through 14th, Bob.
Championship Auto Racing Team officials have indicated that it is indeed Derek Daly in car number 17 that is toward the inside of the racetrack. The ambulance has arrived on the scene. You can see the workers still trying to get him out of the car, but this situation of a driver being trapped in the car really means nothing because the cars are made to break away and to perhaps hold the driver in the car, but it doesn't mean that he has suffered any serious injuries. We certainly hope not, but we will keep our eye on that situation. So the yellow flag is out after 28 laps of the Detroit News Grand Prix. The leader is Johnny Rutherford, and most of the leaders have now been in for their pit stop. Second is Mario Andretti. Third is Tom Sneva. Fourth, Al Unser Jr. And running in fifth position is Al Unser Sr. That's the way they stand at this point. still under yellow at Michigan International Speedway, and the crews continue to work on extricating Derek Daly from his crashed race car. He was involved in a two-car accident in turn number 3 with John Paul Jr. John Paul Jr. is out of this car and is not seriously injured, but the work continues on Derek Daly.
Well, Danny Sullivan out on the racetrack motoring on under the caution flag has been talking with his crew the last couple of laps, so we'll see if we can tune in on Danny. Danny, this is Larry Nuber up in the ESPN control booth. Can you read us?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry you were a little bit faint.
How about this, Danny? Coming in a little better now?
Yeah, that sounds a little better.
Okay, Dan. We did not have a good vantage point of what happened there in number 3. Did you happen to be perhaps behind that and see it develop?
No, I didn't see anything at all. In fact, when the yellow came on, it must have just happened behind me because I was going into turn 1 with Al Unser Sr., so I didn't see anything.
Well, Danny, about your particular situation, obviously a lot of things changed between qualifying and today, and you were backing up, weren't you, pal?
Well, I was. We developed right at the very start a pushing problem where the front end's not really working and it's just plowing up toward the wall. And all the adjustments I could do here in the cockpit didn't seem to make any difference. So I hope we've fixed that during the pit stop with a new set of tires and a slight adjustment.
Well, Danny, we hope you're the best, and looks like anything is going to be a little better than what you had going those first 25 laps.
Well, I sure hope so. We got a lot of catching up to do now, but hopefully everything will go well.
Okay, Danny, we'll let you get back to work. Thanks.
Thank you.
An update in turn number 3. Derek Daly has been taken from his race car. He is under the best of care. Dr. Steve Alvey is the cart doctor who is right there to the left of your screen in the blue. There is an excellent medical facility here at the track itself. He will be given preliminary medication and check over there. If the injuries are so serious that he must be transferred to another hospital, they can do it either by ambulance or they can do it by helicopter. Well, unfortunately, this type of high-speed racing is very definitely given to high-speed accidents. And Larry Nuber had an opportunity to examine some of the past accidents that have occurred here on this high-banked 2-mile oval at Michigan.
By mid-season, a lot of the racetracks in the trail begin to resemble a road map when you look at the racing surface. Oftentimes, these lines will mark off previous victories and glories. But if you've left your mark on the speedway, like these skid marks here, those of Chip Ganassi and Al Unser Jr., chances are you have recorded a disaster. These lines go all the way down to the inside guardrail. That's where they end up. Sometimes on that road map, in the middle of an otherwise perfectly straight superhighway like the backstretch, you'll find a kink in the road. Remember Pancho Carter's hard right in the middle of the Michigan 500? Our triptych even shows foliage and topography, the high banks of the Michigan International Speedway. And the trail isn't always just horizontally two-dimensional. Sometimes it even is vertical and goes right off the map. Sometimes you really wonder about the engineers of this road system. The highways and the byways on occasion intersect in a very confusing fashion. Intersect, or is it collide?
So more skid marks have been added to the road map in turn number 3. There is the car of John Paul Jr. that was involved in the accident. It's on the tow truck and being taken from the race course. Derek Daly's car is down to the inside of the racetrack. Derek has been taken from that car and is being transported right now in the ambulance. Let's review the top 10 as we have it with 32 laps completed now. Johnny Rutherford is your leader. Mario Andretti is second. Tom Sneva third. Al Unser Jr. fourth. And Al Unser Sr. is fifth. In the 6th position is Bobby Rahal. Danny Engaias is 7th. Michael Andretti 8th. Pete Halsmer 9th. And Jose Lee Garza is running in 10th position. And the bad news that we have to give you is that it is beginning to rain again here at Michigan International as the raindrops are beginning to show on our booth and in the puddles down on the racetrack. We'll be right back with more. Live once again at Michigan International Speedway. The weather isn't very much better. However, it is not raining. We do have quite a fog, though, that settled over this 2-mile racetrack. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins. We have 2 stories to update you on before we start this event. First, Derek Daly, injured in yesterday's crash. Derek underwent 3 hours of surgery last night to prepare the bones in his broken legs. Besides that, he has a broken hand. He has the left leg in a cast. The good news is that there are no internal injuries and there are no head injuries. Derek is reported to be awake and alert. With me is Larry Nuber, and the other story here is Johnny Rutherford, who set fast qualifying time and took off when the green flag dropped yesterday.
Bobby really did. You know, Johnny's been strong all week long, but it was like days of old, really. Rutherford in a yellow race car. Remember all the races he won back in 1980 in a yellow Pennzoil-sponsored machine? Also recall that his 2 Indianapolis victories have come in a car that was painted, well, yellow-orange, golf orange, if you will. But Rutherford not only dominated in the practice as well as qualifying, dominated in the race. Andretti and Tom Sneva gave chase, but just could not seem to be able to reel in Johnny Rutherford. Al Unser Jr. is having a great race, as is a man by the name of Bobby Rahal. And there was some drama overnight in the Bobby Rahal garage, and Gary Lee has that story.
Well, Lady Luck certainly plays a role in racing, and for Bobby Rahal, the rain came at the appropriate time yesterday. He had a bad right rear wheel bearing. They came in under the red, changed the entire right rear half shaft assembly. He'll be running in 6th position when the green falls today.
So the command has been given to start engines, and the starters are beginning to roll away from the line, being led by the Corvette pace car. Now, the first car behind the pace car is Howdy Holmes in the number 41. However, Howdy is about to be lapped and probably will be as soon as the green flag drops. Behind Howdy Holmes is the leader of the race, Johnny Rutherford, then Mario Andretti, Tom Sneva, and Al Unser Jr. So when we went red yesterday afternoon because of the rain, this is how they stood: Rutherford, Andretti, Sneva, Al Unser Jr., and Al Unser Sr. Running in 6th position was Bobby Rahal. 7th was Danny Ungaius. 8th was Michael Andretti. 9th was Pete Halsmer. And 10th was Howdy Holmes. 33 laps have been completed, so we have 67 more to go.
And just a little notice, something that's happened even before the green flag has fallen here. Howdy Holmes was in line first. He was the first car out of the pits after the pit stops yesterday. And he was directly in front of Rutherford and Andretti. When the green flag dropped, there was Howdy real quickly on your screen there. When the green flag dropped, he obviously immediately was going to go another lap down, which would have put him 2 laps down to the field. Well, under the first yellow flag lap, Howdy's crew had him come into the pits, make a stop. He got back out onto the track in front of the pace car, which meant that he could go all the way around the racetrack. He saved, in a sense, that entire lap he would have lost.
Smart move. Now, the crowd, of course, nearly isn't as large as it was yesterday, but we have enthusiastic fans here at least. They're standing, waving to the drivers. Now, these laps that they're running right now are counting. We have completed 35 laps. They're doing that because they want to get the tires heated up and make sure all the temperatures are up in the engines. But perhaps next time around or one more after this, they will go green and will begin the competition. Johnny Rutherford is the leader. Mario Andretti is second. Tom Sneva is third. Then the Unsers, Junior and Senior.
And the other 4 cars in the lead lap, Bobby Rahal, remember the wheel bearing change overnight, Danny Ungaius, there is the Lone Star on the helmet of Johnny Rutherford. 2 remaining cars in the lead lap, Michael Andretti and Pete Halsmer. Johnny Rutherford plus the other 8 cars on the lead lap. They have been the dominant drivers in this race, with one addition, Derek Daly, who crashed yesterday. Derek was also running in this top 10. Let's hope today's a lot safer than yesterday.
The pace car pulls off, and the field comes through the tri-oval. Nick Fedoro is already waving the green flag, and this race is resuming.
Oh, and Andretti loses 2 positions right off the bat. Al Unser Jr. on the inside, Tom Sneva on the outside, and Sneva has enough momentum to take the lead, our only other leader in this race.
Boy, some changes there just as the green flag dropped. Al Unser Jr. made a nice move to the inside and picked off Mario Andretti, and Tom Sneva grabbed the lead away from Johnny Rutherford. Now, however, Mario Andretti has moved back into 3rd place as he has been able to once again pass Al Unser Jr. Here they come off the tri-oval. Johnny Rutherford pulls to the inside of Tom Sneva. They're side by side as they cross the stripe into turn number 1. Johnny Rutherford on the inside and Tom Sneva on the outside. Rutherford grabs back the lead. a move on Tom Sneva. They go out of the second turn and down the backstretch. We'll watch this situation regarding second position. Now Mario elects to go high, trying to find the opportunity to pass Tom. Cannot get the job done. Tom slammed the door. You remember these two fought at the finish of the Michigan Grand Prix, and Sneva accused Mario of not exactly the most gentlemanly-like driving tactics. Well, here they are going at it once again on the high banks of Michigan. Mario moves to the inside, passes Tom Sneva, and Mario is second.
Though the accusations came from Tom just to put everything in balance, remember that Mario Andretti was the leader, and there are those who will tell you that the leader has control of the racetrack, and we have a new character playing one of the leading roles. There is Al Unser Sr., fastest we've seen him in the last 2 days, Bob.
Well, remember, we're dealing with an oval track, and championship auto racing teams conduct several of the races this year on the road courses, and Al Unser Sr. has certainly not been as good this year as last year when he won the national championship. And Al Unser Sr. is a master on the ovals, and he is running in third position right now. And Bobby Rahal is continuing to fight with Tom Sneva here as Sneva leads Rahal down the backstretch. Bobby was really quite fortunate in the fact that we had the rain yesterday that stopped the race because he was able to make some major repairs to his car.
And Rahal has gained a lot of ground to the leader, Johnny Rutherford, as well as having improved his position in the race by 2. There goes Rahal to the inside now of Tom Sneva. This is a tooth and nail struggle for 5th position, make that 4th position, and Rahal gains a little bit of advantage. Sneva used the banks, but Rahal had the momentum down on the inside, and Sneva snaps back right behind Rahal. He'll try to pick up a draft. He'll go to the inside. He'll try to power pass going into turn number 3.
And Sneva does it to the inside, picking back up the position from Bobby Rahal. Now, although our pictures aren't very clear because of the fog, the visibility as far as the drivers are concerned isn't that bad. There is good visibility ahead of them, but when you're looking out toward the backstretch, our visibility is restricted quite a bit. Bobby Rahal and Tom Sneva are wheel to wheel on the 18-degree banks at Michigan International Speedway, now coming off of the banks down the flat backstretch. This is the area of the track that Chip Ganassi and Al Unser Jr. had their very bad accident during the running of the Michigan 500. Onto the banks once again, and Sneva continues to lead Bobby Rahal for 4th spot.
I think what you're seeing right here is an example of the man behind Bobby Rahal, the white number 5, man in front, the white number 4 of Tom Sneva. An example of Bobby Rahal hooked up just a little better than Sneva right now, but Sneva is using his experience on the ovals to hold the quarry at bay, and when Rahal does get by, Sneva's experience rears its head again, and he's able to use the draft to pick the position back up. But Rahal, remember, has moved up from probably about 200 yards behind Sneva when this race was re-greened about 7 or 8 minutes ago, but he can't get around and shake him.
And one of the things that we're going to be watching is whether or not Bobby Rahal can continue to carry his string of finishes that he has had in the last 4 races. A second at Elkhart Lake, a third at Pocono, a second at Mid-Ohio, and a second at Montreal 2 weeks ago. There is the leader, Johnny Rutherford. Running in second position is Mario Andretti. We'll be back with more from Michigan. Settling back on a Saturday evening with a college football game, and we'll have an exciting one for you. Navy versus Arkansas on Saturday, September 29th at 7:30 Eastern Time. Here at Michigan International Speedway, we've had a change of leader. Mario Andretti has passed Johnny Rutherford, and now Al Unser Sr. is challenging Johnny Rutherford to the inside. Rutherford to the outside of the racetrack. He drops back to 3rd place. It's now Andretti, followed by Al Unser Sr. and Johnny Rutherford. And look at Al Unser Sr. move. Al Unser Sr. to the inside, takes off like a shot and grabs the lead. Nice job of driving there by the defending driving champion. Now moving into turn number 3, passing the slower car of Chet Phillips as Pete Halsmer is into the pit area in that Scott Ladd Foods March.
Al Unser Sr., as we watch Pete Halsmer in the pits, really put a move. He caught Andretti in traffic. I don't think he caught Mario sleeping because Mario and Al looked like they may have been hooked up in a little bit of a draft. That's one of the ways they were able to run down Rutherford, although Rutherford is definitely just a ticket to watch off the pace that he had set for the first 45 laps here. But Al Unser saw that Andretti had to hesitate just a bit going through traffic, and He had a slight hole and took quite an advantage of it. A great job by the defending champion, the man who is number 2, make that number 3 in all-time wins. He was passed by Mario Andretti this year into the second position.
And on the racetrack, the battle for 6th position here. Danny Ungayas in the lead car and Al Unser Jr. in the other car. They're both black. Ungayas leading Al Unser Jr. here. As 49 laps have been completed, so we are very, very close to the halfway point. And if it should start to rain next lap, it would be a complete race. Danny Ungayas continuing to pass some of the back markers here, and Al Unser Jr. follows. However, as we look out over the racetrack, it looks like that it's beginning to brighten just a little bit. The sun is trying to burn through this fog and haze.
Steve Chassis, Peter Kuhn out of the Super V ranks, Chet Phillip among those, having laps put on him by the trio of Ungayas, Al Unser Jr., and Michael Andretti. So the two famous second-generation drivers, Al Unser Jr. and Michael Andretti, on the racetrack together behind the man you just saw in black, Danny Ungayas, to be exact, a man in black and pink and maroon and orange stripe there that you can just barely see on television on the Ungayas car, those two cars. However, in bright red and white, that's pretty obvious and very easy to spot on the racetrack, in a position we have not seen him in too very many times in 1984, and boy, does he have to be feeling great right now, Al Unser Sr.
As a matter of fact, Al Unser Sr.'s best finish this year has been a 3rd at the Indianapolis 500 and a 3rd at Elkhart Lake. So Al Unser Sr. would certainly like to win his first IndyCar race this year. There is Ed Pim in number 98. That's the All-American racer owned by Dan Gurney. Ed has had that ride since Kevin Cogan abandoned it to drive for the Forsythe team. And, of course, they're not here this week because Corrado Fabi chose not to compete on the high-speed high banks here at Michigan. One other driver that we'd like to update you on that we haven't mentioned so far, Gordon Johncock. He isn't in this race because he hit the wall during a practice session on Friday and suffered some broken toes and other bruises. Now, he's basically okay, but he's going to be out of action for a while. Scott Brayton also hit the wall during a practice period on Saturday. That car was damaged badly, but Scott was not injured.
Al Unser Sr. crossing the stripe and recording another leading lap has now more than doubled his entire leading lap output for 1984. Al had only led 4 laps prior to this race, and now he has led 6.
Let's go down to Gary Lee in the pit area.
All of these drivers have radio communications with the pit area, and at least 2 of the top contenders are complaining the car is not handling. Both Tom Sneva and Johnny Rutherford say their car is pushing. So consequently, the next time in for the pit stop, they will make an adjustment to the chassis and see if they can't pick up some more miles per hour.
Well, that definitely explains the fact that Johnny Rutherford has slowed down considerably and is not the Johnny Rutherford, or at least not the car that turned the 215-mile-an-hour qualifying record on Saturday. A handling problem plaguing that Pennzoil Penske.
Well, Bob, when you have an overnight, and Al Unser Sr. very loose there between turns 3 and 4, but he gathered it back in and slides up against the wall to the normal lane. But, boy, Al was, for a second there, squirming quite a lot. Started to say that when you have an overnight delay like this, you know that a lot of cars are going to be affected, but you just don't know which ones will be and how they will be.
Well, handling, very important on any kind of racetrack, and an important aspect of handling are shock absorbers. ESPN and CART present a track fact.
Nobody ever said that IndyCar racing was going to be cheap by any standard of measurement. Well, this happens to be the front shock off of Mario Andretti's car. It's a Coney, and Mario and Bobby Rahal are 2 of the very few American drivers using this type of shock. It has won over 200 Formula One races. It is the world's only double adjustable shock. You can adjust not only the bump or the compression characteristic of the shock, but also the corresponding release or rebound or extension after the weight is lifted off the shock. Now, if you were to replace the shock in the car at home, it cost you maybe only $50 or $65, but this little ditty, $600 a piece.
At the end of 56 laps in the Detroit News Grand Prix, Al Unser Sr. leads, followed by Mario Andretti, Johnny Rutherford, Bobby Rahal, and Tom Sneva. We'll be right back. The Penske crew has to be quite happy at this point. Their driver, Al Unser Sr., is in the lead. Right behind him, and that's how close it is, Mario Andretti. Now, Al Unser's normal teammate, Rick Mears, of course, was injured during a practice crash at Sanair Speedway in Canada a couple of weeks ago. And Rick has undergone a couple of surgical procedures in the last 2 weeks to repair his broken feet and ankles. And we understand that Rick is doing quite well in Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis, Indiana. We wish him a very speedy recovery.
Here comes Mario Andretti. The Budweiser Express once again is beginning to rumble. And Andretti has now moved to a position where he is filling the mirrors of Al Unser Sr. That is Al Unser Sr., the white nose cone streaking down the backstretch at well over 210 miles an hour. Here comes Andretti on the inside. He picks up the draft, and he moves underneath, just like it's prescribed on the chalkboard.
So our third leader of this race, Mario Andretti, takes over the lead from Al Unser Sr., as Johnny Rutherford is now about a full straightaway behind in third position. Then in fourth is Tom Sneva, followed by
Denny Ongais is fifth, then Ray Hall and Jr.
Bobby Rahal and Al Unser Jr. have both dropped back, and Danny Ongais has picked up a couple of positions. Well, we'd like to wish a couple of people happy birthday here. Dick Simon celebrated his 51st birthday late last week. That makes him the oldest driver in today's field, and also the guy who works very hard at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The director of publicity, Al Flemker, is celebrating a birthday, and we wish him a very happy birthday and many returns.
Al Unser Sr. and Mario Andretti continue to set the pace, and here is the teammate of Tom Sneva, Howdy Holmes. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Sneva's Howdy Holmes' teammate. Whatever. Remember Howdy had that nice second-place finish at Phoenix earlier this year, sat in the middle of the front row at Indianapolis. He saved that lap just before he went green today, and now data speed is showing him holding his own on the lead lap, just 30 seconds back. The first 10 cars, check that, first 9 cars, Howdy Holmes being on the tail of them, are within 30 seconds. Howdy is on a streak of 3 races in a row where he has finished in the top 10. He's had a 9th, a 6th, and a 9th in the last 3 races. He's really one of 4 drivers, Ray Hall, Sullivan, and Scott Brayton, coming into this race, who were on what you might refer to as successful streaks. Not all of them were winning streaks, but consistent top 10 finishes. And Howdy Holmes looks like, after saving that lap at the last minute, maybe in a position to finish in the top 10 again.
Well, 9 cars on the lead lap. In 10th position, a lap down, is Danny Sullivan, the winner of the most recent IndyCar race at Sanair. Danny Sullivan has had his problems from the very beginning of this race yesterday. He lost a lap, and of course has not been able to make it up so far in this one. There is the leader, Mario Andretti.
By the way, pit stops will be coming up very shortly, probably within the next 5 laps for everybody. Fuel will not be a factor today. With the shortened race, everybody's going to be able to do it with 1 pit stop, so that shouldn't even be a factor by any stretch of the imagination. Everybody will come in because they'll be running low on fuel at this point, and then they'll have about 30 laps to go or about 60 miles to get to the finish. The race seems like it's going quickly. That's for 2 reasons. Number one, remember, we lopped off about 35 laps before the green actually fluttered here today. Plus, it was only 200 miles or a 100-lap race to begin with. We are now up to lap 65. Pit stop shortly, and then it should be just a nice old-fashioned sprint race to the finish.
Mario's wins this year have come at Long Beach, at the Meadowlands near New York City, here at Michigan in the 500, also at Elkhart Lake. And Johnny Rutherford is coming into the pit area. Is this a routine pit stop, or is there something more seriously wrong? I would assume that this is a routine pit stop. Perhaps Johnny hoping to get in first and make it a quick one so that he can get back out and make himself a leader to carry him home to the checkered flag. Crew is working on the car. It is fueled up, and away Johnny Rutherford goes. Al Unser Jr. is also in the pits. Jose Le Garza was in and is back out there. There goes Al Unser Jr. in that Coors Light Silver Bullet number 7.
2 notes in the pit stop. First of all, you saw the water being sprayed on Rutherford's car. That's just to blow off the excess fuel, methanol alcohol that spills out on the bodywork during the stop. The other point is as you watch these pit stops, the drivers who are pitting early, the ones who've decided to not wait for the caution flag, are the ones who feel as though their setup is so bad it's costing them ground on the racetrack. Now, the people who are doing well, like Mario Andretti, getting ready to lap Hottie Holmes, by the way, they'll stay out as long as they can, hoping for a yellow, hoping to be able to pit under the yellow. It only goes so far, though, of course, as you all know, that fuel does certainly run out, and this IndyCar set will deliver 75, maybe as much as 85 miles per load of fuel on the top end. So look for everybody to be coming in shortly, but leaders, the ones who are running well, will wait as long as they can, hoping to have a caution.
One other thing that Mario Andretti is trying to do here today, in addition to winning the race, is reach the $3 million mark in U.S. career earnings. He needs just $12,764 to go over the $3 million mark, and the purse here, the winner's purse, is going to pay about $17,000. Al Holbert in car number 21, the CRC Chemicals car, is into the pits, and Al Holbert had hoped for a much better year than he is having. Holbert finished in fourth position at the Indianapolis 500-mile race, and we thought perhaps he was going to be a real factor, but it has not turned out that way. There is Michael Andretti, who is sixth in the kart point standings, his best finish of the year, a third at Phoenix and a third at the Meadowlands.
And just behind Michael, Papa Mario, as Al Holbert has stalled the car. That's one of the things that can happen hitting under the green. There is Mario Andretti, the race pace setter for the last 15 laps. Change of rubber going all the way around. The left rear, a little bit of a problem with that, apparently. Notice the elongated bodywork in the back of that Lola. Special bodywork for the high speeds of Michigan International. There is Tom Sneva.
Not a particularly good pit stop for Mario Andretti. Tom Sneva is motioning feverishly to get out of the way so he can get back out there. There he goes. Correction from just a few minutes ago. Michael Andretti's best finishes have been at Phoenix and at Cleveland. He crashed at the Meadowlands in the late stages. Down to Gary Lee.
Well, the crew goes to work on the routine pit stop. They will change 3 tires, no chassis adjustment. The same held true for his teammate Johnny Rutherford. Rutherford had complained earlier the car was pushing, but there was no chassis adjustment during the pit stop. They're topping off the fuel. The fuel has been topped off. The car is automatic traction underway.
Just about an 18-second pit stop, Gary, for Al Unser Sr. as he goes back out onto the racetrack. Bobby Rahal is in for some work. So is Jeff Brabham. Ed Pym is in. The leader on the track is Danny Ungaius in car number 25. However, Danny has not pitted and will be having to do so momentarily.
By the way, the smoke that you saw in the background while Gary Lee was describing the Al Unser Sr. pit was tires smoking under heavy braking by Bobby Rahal. No problem. Bobby Rahal just ripping into the pit area and putting a big stop on in the pits. It turned out to be a routine stop for Bobby, too. He is back on the track, and we're watching for the leaders to come around. Andretti has gone around.
Here is Danny Ungaius, the leader, coming in, and he is coming in at a full head of steam. His pit is located down near turn number 1, so he moves onto the pit apron at quite fast speed. He gets the car stopped now, and we'll watch this pit stop. The Interscope crew going to work on it. The fuel is being put in. They are changing the rubber on the right front of the race car, but it looks like that's the only tire that they will change. Continue to watch the Danny Ungaius pit stop. The fuel continues to go in. There it's topped off. Water is sprayed on the side of the car, and Danny Ungaius releases the clutch, stands on the gas, and blasts back out onto the racetrack.
Mario Andretti survived this set of pit stops with about a 4 or 5 football field lead over Johnny Rutherford.
There is Michael Andretti, who is unofficially being shown as the leader. We'll confirm that and be back with you in just a moment.
Racing. From the inside, no one covers it like
Bob Jenkins, Larry Nuber, and Gary Lee back at Michigan International Speedway, where Mario Andretti leads the Detroit News Grand Prix. Second position is now Tom Sneva. Just a second ago, Sneva passed Rutherford. It is now second, Rutherford third. Al Unser Sr. is fourth, and Danny Ungaius is fifth. 15 laps to go, and Larry, Tom Sneva is on the move.
You ready for this? He was 5.5 seconds behind. We'll pick up with that story in a second. Here's the finish of the Super V race held earlier this morning, Bob.
Well, we told you how exciting it was. This is the finish. To the inside is Jeff McPherson. Outside is Ari Luyendyk. And that's how close it was. We will look at it from another angle from the inside of the racetrack. And you can see that McPherson beats Ari Luyendyk by only a matter of inches. You'll see the complete race later on ESPN. Now, let's go down to Gary Lee once again.
As we indicated earlier, the stock block Pontiac is out. Ed Kim is a spectator. What was the problem?
Well, the car was handling fine. We were running near 200 miles an hour in the race. I came in for a scheduled pit stop to get fuel, and the crew discovered some oil leaking in the back of the car, so they didn't know what that might lead to, so they thought it'd be safer just to call it a day.
Your comment was out early again. It's been very frustrating for you this season.
Yeah, but we're getting a lot of experience, and I think we're going to come back strong.
You won that Super V race 1 year ago. Did you have a chance to watch the finish this year?
Yeah, I did. It was really a great race. Ari Luyendyk almost pulled it off. I think it was obvious the guy that won it had a little more power, but Ari did a good job trying to win the race.
Tougher to watch the race from the infield than be out there and drive?
Yeah, it looked like they had a lot of fun. A lot more fun than I had today.
Right now, Ed is waiting to watch the end of this race.
All right, Gary, with 11 laps to go, we've had a change for fourth position. Danny Ungayas has passed Al Unser Sr., and Ungayas is now in fourth place, and if he finishes there, it'll be his best finish of 1984. Another correction, this will be the 8th win for a Lola chassis. 7 of the last 7 races have been won by Lolas.
All right, if you're in Mario Andretti's pit, you got to know that Sneva's coming. Listen to this. In the last 6 laps, here are the intervals between first and second. This is Sneva closing in on Andretti. 5.5. There's Andretti. Then it went down to 5. Then 4.7. Then 4. Then 3.5. Then 3.2. We'll catch it this time by and tell you if Sneva has moved in yet another time. Sneva goes by. Yes, now it's down to 2.7. So Tom Sneva, about 4/10 or 5/10 of a second a lap. He is 2.5 seconds behind. That's an estimate. He's got 9 laps to go. This could go right down to the wire like the Super V race.
And remember, Mario Andretti and Tom Sneva are in a heated battle for the points. Mario is the leader in the PPG Cup points by 11 over Tom Sneva. And it looks like that interval is possibly going to close up even more than that after this race. We're timing the lap now of Mario Andretti, and then we'll time a lap by Tom Sneva, and we'll see exactly which one is running faster on the racetrack.
Bob, it's just incredible how quickly Sneva is coming up. He is running now consistently a half a second faster than Andretti, and Andretti is working his way through traffic. He has not been delayed at any time. The cars are fairly well strung out as far as the tail enders go. You just saw him get underneath, I think it was Chet Phillip again, as they come across the stripe to complete yet another lap.
And Mario Andretti crosses the finish line, and it's 35.5 seconds, and that translates to about 202.8 miles an hour. Andretti is running over 200 miles an hour in traffic. Now, there is Tom Sneva. And next time around, we hopefully will be able to get a watch on him and see if he is going faster than Mario. It would certainly seem so because the interval between the two is closing up. Tom Sneva right now in turn number 4, headed for the tri-oval.
94 laps will be completed this time around. Here comes Andretti. He crosses the stripe. Get another lap down. Sneva this time just 1.6 seconds behind. So the game of Russian roulette continues, and the number of clicks that don't have a bullet in it are going by, and pretty soon the bullet's going to come up for Mario Andretti.
5.5 more laps to go. There's Andretti. There is Tom Sneva as they both race down the backstretch. This has been a tremendous race. It has not contained any yellows, as we saw yesterday, the terrific accident involving Derek Daly. But again, as we reported early, Derek Daly is...
He's caught him, Bob.
Derek Daly has not suffered any head or internal injuries, and it looks like he's going to be okay. Now the battle is setting up. There are less than 5 laps to go, and Tom Sneva has caught Mario Andretti. Andretti moves to the inside and passes Jose Legarza as they go down the backstretch. Let's go to Gary Lee.
Have right now 2 of the very best traffic drivers going at it nose to tail. As we had mentioned earlier, The Texaco Star was not handling, it was pushing. On the last pit stop, in addition to putting on new tires, they also made an adjustment to the front wing. So right now, car number 4 is working, and Tom Sneva is giving it a great ride.
Oh, it's just like at the 500. Rutherford has spun and hit the wall. Johnny Rutherford spins and hits the wall. 96 laps are completed. If we have to end this race under yellow, what a tremendous disappointment for Tom Sneva, who it looked like was going to catch Mario Andretti.
Unbelievable turn of events. This probably will do it. There is debris on the racetrack. Rutherford is up on the banking, and if the finish continues this way, Andretti will vault to a 16-point lead over Tom Sneva with 3 races remaining on the schedule. This looks like a 3 or 4 lap yellow, and if so, Mario Andretti, if you'll pardon the word, will coast home to victory here. Not that he didn't drive a bunch of 205 and 210 mile-an-hour laps to get there, that's for sure.
Well, Johnny Rutherford is unbuckling the seat belts and is beginning to lift himself out of the race car, so he is obviously okay. Quite disappointed, you can imagine. It has been a great weekend to this point for Johnny Rutherford, who broke the qualifying record and ran so well in the early stages of the race, but it looks like it's not his day for victory. Well, we're going to have the finish here in just a few minutes. 97 laps have been completed. It looks like it'll end under yellow. We'll come back to tell you if it will in just a moment. Well, we're sure that Johnny Rutherford didn't want it this way. We certainly didn't want it this way, but this race is going to end under yellow. Here comes the simultaneous yellow and white flags. There's only one more lap to go, and the tow truck isn't even at the Johnny Rutherford wrecked car in turn number 4. So they're going to end, as we showed them to you just a second ago. Mario Andretti is going to win this race. Tom Sneva is going to settle for a very disappointed second because he was just about to challenge Mario Andretti for the lead. Danny Ungaius looks like will finish in 3rd spot, followed by Al Unser Sr. and then Bobby Rahal. Average speed of the race, 172.03. It'll be slightly less than that because they are under yellow and have less than half a lap to go.
Well, according to the radios that we've been able to monitor from the various teams, the report is it's possible that Emerson Fittipaldi, racing for the first time on a big racetrack like this, constant high speeds, may have gotten up into the loose stuff and forced Johnny Rutherford high and into the wall. But that's an unconfirmed report, of course. It's coming with a little bit of prejudice, too, from one of the teams out there. But that appears to be a possibility for the accident. Rutherford has certainly had a great weekend. The all-time fastest qualifying run in IndyCar history, led the early stages of this race. And who knows, had we not had to stop and break overnight, maybe Rutherford would have won this race going away.
They're coming down for the finish at very slow speed. Mario Andretti is going to raise his hand in victory, we assume, as the double checkers are displayed, and he does salute to the crowd. So does Tom Sneva in 2nd position, but it certainly was not the finish that we had hoped.
I think that Sneva's salute had more practicality than Mario's. I think he was actually flipping up the visor on the helmet. But a big disappointment for Tom, particularly because he is the one chasing Mario in points. He needed the points more than Andretti did, at least to this point of the season here at the Michigan International Speedway.
And a couple of other questions are answered. The Lola streak continues. It's now 8. And Mario Andretti does go over $3 million in career earnings. The winner's share of this purse is $31,063. So he's well over $3 million in career earnings now. So our congratulations to Mario Andretti, who has now won at Long Beach, at the Meadowlands, here at Michigan, at Elkhart Lake, at Mid-Ohio, and again at Michigan. And there is a dejected Johnny Rutherford walking through the pit area. He looks like he's okay, but did damage that car somewhat in the encounter with the 4th turn wall. So, as Mario Andretti comes to victory lane and our interview with Gary Lee, we'll be right back after this.